Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, something rare, made even more so. It's uncommon to find the FP Journe Octa 36mm, but to find one in 36 with full diamond-paved case and dial, well, this truly is a needle among the haystacks. Perhaps a needle among the needles, as this is an incredibly scarce watch, and I've only ever seen this example in the 11 years I've been shooting Journe watches. So the first thing to note is that this is a 2003 to 2021 model, at least in theory, but they don't come along all that often. The 36mm platinum case is, of course, 36 in diameter, but 10.9 thick and 47.4 from lug to lug, with an 18mm lug spacing that is quite uncommon among Journe watches. Now, the timepiece is equipped with a strap that features a curved spring bar, so the lugs can be cut and drilled a little bit closer to the case for better small wrist fit. And because of the curved bar, you don't have any impediment to the motion of the strap. On the underside, you can see this is a somewhat older Journe strap because it does not feature pull-tab spring bars, but it is in brand new condition. A round scale gator on the bottom, large rectangular symmetrical scale on the top, black semi-gloss. We've got a folded edge with a monotone stitch. It is a good-looking factory strap. Gator on both sides, after all, is more expensive, but also lasts longer. We have something that's a bit of a bonus on a Journe watch. They generally don't include deployant clasps. Not only does this one feature a full platinum and white gold deployant, but it actually features a measure of gem setting on the buckle itself. So the way this works is the swing arms are made of white gold, which is both harder than platinum and stronger than platinum, but also harder and stronger than yellow and rose gold. That's why it's used here. And then the buckle itself, this little part right here, is made of platinum. The case is utterly diamond paved. You can see the Journe case design is quite familiar, but the diamonds themselves are not. We've got quite a bit going on here. When you combine case, bezel, and dial, you've got 2.32 carats, and that's comprised of a frankly shocking number, 184 brilliant on the bezel in the case, and then 320 more set on the dial. The watch, of course, is the Octa Divine, which is a little bit different than the Octa Lune, primarily because you have hands at center. That's the easy and obvious way to tell them apart. Now, taking a look at the dial, not only is it fully gem set, but all these gems are set on a dial that is a solid disc of white gold. So precious inside, precious on the outside. Now you can see how I am able to set the hands. They are steel fired blue. They are the distinctive Journe taper design. And in the intermediate position, I have the ability to quick set the moon phase. The moon phase is actually a metallized disc of sapphire. And then you can see I also have a quick set for rapidly cycling the flush double disc date. There's a 120-hour power reserve indicator, and unlike some Journe watches, it works conventionally, which means it points to the number of hours of power reserve remaining rather than the time since the last winding. While 120 hours is the chronometric power reserve, the watch will actually run for almost 160, and 120 is the power reserve during which the watch will keep the best time, so Journe advises that if it's not being worn regularly, at least wind the watch every 120 hours. Turning it over, you can see the 1303 version of the Octa 1300 automatic, 22-karat rotor with a lovely barleycorn guilloche cut, and we have 18-karat rose gold bridges and plates, 3 Hz beat rate, free sprung, 5-position adjustment, one enormous meter-long mainspring that's only about 1 millimeter wide. And Journe's logic here was he could create a mainspring that had a flat torque curve for 120 hours. And so his thought always was with an automatic watch, because it's always winding and discharging, and it's never the same state of wind at all times. It can't keep time precisely, because remember, chronometer test watch movements are wound every 24 hours. So if you've got something that's not being wound every 24 hours, it could be any state of wind. So creating a big flat torque plateau with a super thin but also super long mainspring gives him consistent timekeeping for 120 hours. That's why that is stated as the power reserve rather than the absolute limit, which is almost 7 days at 160 hours. On the case, you can see we have the double dog head of Eleanor, the French case maker. They used to build Journe's cases. And the watch in my hand is French made with the Eleanor Makers mark next to the 0 of 950. And then adjacent to that, you can see it's a double dog head. And then adjacent to that, you can see that there is a Swiss hallmark, which is, you guessed it, another dog head. Now, in the past, I have called the French hallmark a double eagle, and I think I've used that regardless of whether it's platinum or gold. Well, eagles would be correct for gold, but the dog's head is used for platinum, so that's what you're looking at right there. I should also mention that the definition of the stamps is incredibly sharp. Taking a look at the movement again, it's a fairly large movement to fill up this case back, so around 30 millimeters in diameter, 30.4, is a fairly sizable movement. All this is water resistant down to 30 meters, though I beg you not test the theory. There is lots to love here. Just about the only feature it does not have that I would like it to have is hacking seconds, but the watch does keep outstanding time, so provided you can time your setting of the minute hand perfectly, you should be able to synchronize it all the same to a reference. A fantastic 36 jewel movement that is beautifully executed, but still, the artistry, the hand finishing, the gem setting, it is all on the dial and the case side of the watch, which is fascinating because it gives you a watch that is actually more interesting to wear dial side up than movement side up, and that is often a challenge with modern watches which have such elaborately finished movements. This one is all about the ice. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.